Peace and wellness, beautiful souls, magnificent beings. The reason why you are struggling to break your bad habit is because the brain loves to please you. And although that bad habit is detrimental in the long run, the brain has accepted the fact that you actually enjoy it and that the brain is willing to do anything to please you, even if it causes detrimental, irreparable harm to the human organism. And this is why we have to learn how to deal with habits, break the bad ones, build the good ones. Allow us to listen to this short video talking about how habits are formed and what is actually.
Have a habit we'd like to kick. So, what's the best way to break one? Scientists define habits as behaviors that are performed regularly and cued subconsciously in response to certain environments, whether it be a location, time of day, or even an emotional state. They can include simple actions like picking your hair when stressed, but also more complex practices ingrained in daily routines, like staying up late or brewing your coffee in the morning. If you do something frequently without much deliberation, then it's likely a habit.
Simple. If you do something frequently without much deliberation, it is or it is likely a habit. And habits are accumulative, meaning the more we do it, the more we accumulate the desire for the brain to please you. The brain actually, which she would touch on, starts to form new neural pathways in order to make that behavior that much more easily acceptable, accessible. And this is why it is difficult to break bad habits. And this is why it is great to establish good habits because it becomes almost secondary. Allow them to compete.
They form because at some point, your brain learns that the behavior is beneficial. Let's say after opening a stressful email, you bite your nails. This is rewarding as it's enough to focus your attention, curbing your email-fueled anxiety. Within your brain, positive experiences can trigger the release of dopamine, a neurotransmitter that mediates feelings of pleasure. Dopamine is also a driver of neuroplasticity, meaning it can change how your neurons wire and fire. Your brain builds connections that link the reward with the behavior, driving you to repeat it. It also starts associating the behavior with other cues, like your environment. Eventually, all it takes is the context of sitting at your desk to subconsciously trigger a nail-biting habit. No stressful email or sense of relief required.
So that is powerful. The actual ability of a habit that has been established to just automatically kick in based off the environment upon which you are existing or which you repeatedly do that habit in. And this is why these things can be so difficult. Allow me to wipe my nose. Dealing with some allergies today, so bear with me. So again, the ability to break habits, we have to be able to recognize the circumstances, the environment, the triggers, so to speak, that are automatically associated with that habit that makes our brain seek out that habit at that particular time. If we're dealing with a specific location, if we're dealing with a specific routine, if we're dealing with anything that is specific to a habit that we have started to do, and our brain starts to associate the environment and the actual act, then it will call for you to engage in that behavior at that time. Again, the brain wants to be your best friend. It wants to please you, even if the pleasure is detrimental in the long run. It knows that you enjoy it, even when you don't want to enjoy it. because you know what it is doing. And to a bigger degree, when it becomes so detrimental that your body becomes addicted to the habit, no matter what it is, then you're dealing with a whole nother level of trying to break free from that particular habit. So habits are mentally, emotionally, spiritually, and physically addictive. And eventually the physical addiction comes a little bit later. But the mental and emotional and the spiritual addictions are pretty much established right when the habit becomes established in the early stages. All right, allow them to continue.
Once established, these cue behavior reward loops work fast, outpacing the decision-making process. You may find yourself engaging in a habit before you have the chance to notice and stop. But this can be a good thing because not all habits are bad. They're stored memories of what's worked in the past, which allow you to take swift action in the present. One study estimated that on average, people spend more than 40% of their days performing regularly repeated behaviors while their minds are occupied with other thoughts. A seemingly automated morning routine, for example, saves you both time and precious mental energy.
Another powerful point that they have pointed out on this video is, again, much of our day is run on automatic behaviors that we are used to doing on an automatic basis without even thinking. And this is why we should really work towards building behaviors that become habits that are good and are sending us towards growth and prosperity versus detriment and decay. Because again, the brain works the same way. If you establish that which is good for you, then the brain will make it easier for you to access without you even thinking about it. So again, most of our day is ran on autopilot, meaning we build habits. We go out unless we are super conscious of our presence here in the here and now at every moment, then likely what we're doing is running on autopilot. And this is why we must become more present, more in the here and now. But some autopilot things are necessary and are beneficial. So we'll wrap this up right here with the closing by saying habits are accumulative, bad and good ones. So if you want to establish a good habit, the consistency of doing it will lead to it becoming a habit, and it will become automatic. And this is the same for the bad habits. So most of us have established bad habits, and there's a lot of reasons why. So in order to shift from the bad habits, excuse me again, and to establish good habits, we must be present in the here and now, and must understand how the brain is working and why we are so addicted to the habits that we are doing. And again, some of them become physical, and that is a whole nother level of being able to break free. The mental, the emotional, and the spiritual ones, you can break free from those, and they are difficult as well. But when it becomes physical, now it is at a whole nother level. So again, let's work on building good habits. Let's recognize those bad habits. Let's start to be aware of how they are automatically triggered, and then let's make the adjustments necessary. If you like the video, please like, comment, and subscribe. Peace.